How's it going, guys? Welcome to Squid Shot. Today we are going to go to New Smyrna Beach, Florida, but this time we're going to film the entire trip using the Insta360 X3. After we go to a couple of skate parks over there, you and I are going to sit down in the studio here. I'll talk about file types and we'll do a walkthrough of the Insta360 editor. Then I will actually talk about a little bit of the insights I got from using the Insta360 X3 in the field. So let's get at it. The first stop is this Team Pain Park. I think it's awesome. There's all kinds of bowls and varied areas for creative crap. Look, there's even a flat ground area. But my boys were not feeling this place and wouldn't get off the bench. So we left there and went to another park, which was right on the Indian River. The boys warmed up to this one almost immediately.
Great kick. Oh! Jump off the top thing, do a backflip. Damn.
All right, finally at the hotel. What the hell? This place is amazing. Pool, jacuzzi, and some beach time to relax. That was so much fun, and the Insta360 X3 was really easy to use. Honestly, you just put it on a tripod, put it in the area, and it's doing the job for you. Or you put it on a selfie stick and run around, and it's capturing everything. It was pretty damn easy, pretty damn fun. Didn't even have to think about it. When you look at the video files in the editor for the very first time, you're gonna be like, what the hell are all of these weird ass files? Most of which won't even play with your computer's media player or in any of the video editors. Don't worry, go ahead and download the Insta360 editor from insta360.com. There's a link down below, you can get that. Now that you've downloaded and set up your Insta360 editor, you can view and edit these files. But wait, what is with the redundant ass files that have different container types, or double of the same file just with different sizes?
What on earth is going on?
Okay, calm down. Insta360 X3 saves files in a very strange way. The easiest way to think about it is it saves a crappy version and a good version. When you shoot 360-degree footage, it's going to save that information as an LRV file, which stands for low resolution video, which is crappy. And 2 INSV files, which are good. I don't know what INSV stands for, but just knowing that that one stands for crappy is all that really matters. This one has 2 files because it's taking a file from each lens. You'd pull up both of these files in the editor so that way it can combine that information so that you can have your 360-degree world in a clearer, better way. When you're in single lens mode and you take a shot, it's going to save as the LRV, which is once again crappy, and an MP4, which is the good version of that single lens shot. Some of the other modes save the files as INSP, which is crappy, or a DNG, which is the good version. Don't get confused between the INSP, which is a crappy, and the INSV of the good. They're separate. They're not the same. Don't get confused. One is a P, one is a V. Be careful. And definitely, please copy this down on a post-it note. Keep it at your desk. That way you'll always know what's going on.
Okay, now that you know which ones to use, we can pull up 2 of the INSV files. We'll start with number 1. Right click and we open, and it should automatically open with the Insta360 Studio. So, now that we've pulled those 2 files up in the editor, you can see that they've combined themselves into one. And that's because it took both lenses and combined the information from each lens so that you can have a nice, clean, 3-dimensional world with all of the information available to you in the INSV file. Ooh, that was a mouthful. So, once this is pulled up in your editor or the 360 Studio, you're able to see the timeline of this clip down below. As you see, we can scroll into the timeline and out from the timeline by holding the control button and scrolling in and out with your mouse. The space bar plays and stops your footage. And you can scroll in and out on the viewer by using the mouse without holding the control button. Scroll all the way out, we get the little globy, and we can zoom all the way in. Let's rewind by clicking back and watch that guy ride the bike again. Boom. All right, let's bring the playhead back from before the cyclist went up this wall here. There we go. That's nice, right here. And when we've reached the point in our timeline that we want our new clip to start, you're going to hold Control and hit the left bracket, and it's going to trim off everything from that point before. Let's hit play by hitting space and spacebar. When we reach the end of the clip that we'd like to make, we hold Control and hit the right bracket, and it trims off everything from the playhead on, which is wonderful. In order to go to the beginning of the play or the end of the play, you hit the left and right brackets without holding Control. So to go to the beginning of the playhead, we hit the left bracket. To go to the end, we hit the right bracket. If we rendered out this scene as is, it actually wouldn't have this perspective or view. It would actually have the original perspective that we started with, because we don't actually have anything on the timeline here that tells the computer what to render. In order to tell it what to render, or what to look at when we're rendering, we can do one of 2 things. We can either deep track, which is picking something in the scene and having the computer track it through the scene, and that's what the motion will be. Or we can automate the actions in the scene. I'll show you both. Let's hit the left bracket to come back to the beginning of the playhead, and I'm going to show you how to deep track. You can either hit this button here, or you can hold Control and T. It pulls up the screen. It says, please drag with the left mouse button to select tracking target, or click the automatically identified tracking targets. Typically, if the computer sees something that it thinks you could track, it'll put a little circle around it. It doesn't see anything in the scene, which means that we do the first thing it says, which is drag the left mouse. So let's move our playhead up a little bit to the other side and do the deep track again. Drag the box, start tracking. Now we've got a deep track, and it has something to look at while it's rendering. So we opened up our playhead a bit back here, and we'll hit play to see what this a little bit of tracking has done. It makes it zoom in and go around the corner, and then it stops dead. It's not bad at all. I actually kind of like it. So that's how you lay a deep track. I'm going to show you how to automate by finishing up this action at the end. Instead of it just stopping, see, it goes through and then it stops right there. So instead of it stopping there, we're going to bring the playhead to that second, and we're going to drop an automation dot, which is an automation dot. Or you can hit Control K. So let's do that. Let's hit Control K. So it drops this automation dot and pulls up this little menu, which is awesome. It has all the parameters of the camera. And we'll drop another automation dot at the end here. Control K. Now, let's go to the first dot by clicking it, and it automatically brings the playhead over. So if you just wiggle it, you see that these numbers just change from white to yellow. And if we wiggle this one, we can actually change the horizon. And we can move in and out with this one, and we can change the angle or the degree of the lens with this one. Alright, and when you click on the second dot that we had placed, we can go ahead and tell it to change a little bit. So let's turn it to the right. Zoom in just slightly. That's nice. Zoom out just a drop. Now, let's grab the first dot and drag it forward just a little bit. So that way there's a little bit of a space between the deep track we had and what we had created at the beginning. There, let's try this. Let's go to the beginning. Okay, so it zoomed out, so let's zoom in. Let's see if that looks better. And swoosh. Okay, so let's put this back at 0. I don't like that it twists. Alright, let's move this even further forward so that way it takes an extra moment for it to get to that zoom. It should zoom more gradually now. Yeah. Okay. I feel like we're losing the biker being in center, so let's grab the second dot and move the whole thing so that way the biker is more center screen. And hit play. Okay, let's go to the second one. Let's go to the first dot and move the biker to be a little more center and hit play from the beginning by hitting the left bracket, space bar. Yeah, that felt like great action. We really emphasized what the biker was doing with the camera motions that we just got to do post-script as opposed to having to do all those actions with the actual camera itself. We just stood there and held the camera. Let's watch it again. I like it. Awesome. Go ahead and render it by hitting this guy here, Start Export. And it pulls up this menu here, which you can change the file name and you can change where it is saving it. which I always save it in a render bench, blah blah blah, you know, things like this. And we can change the name to Bike Gear Dude. MP4. I put the bitrate all the way up. Make sure the preset parameters are what you want, either 4K, 2K, 1080, whatever that you want it to render at. And then you hit Start Export. And it pops up over here, and then a percentage pops up down at the bottom. And it typically does not take very long at all to render one of these pieces. What else? That's just about it. I mean, that's really easy. And we just did a combination of a deep track and automating the actions of our scene. And boom, by the time I was finished saying that, it is finished. So let's go ahead and watch it. Okay, and obviously you can make these differentials way more drastic or way more subtle if you'd like. So let's go ahead and do 2 dots real fast. And we'll come over here and we can go from a fisheye, this one's called Crystal Ball, Tiny Planet, and a Natural View. So we can go from like Crystal Ball into our track. So let's see what that looks like. That was kind of cool. So that would be more of a drastic. Whereas the one we had originally created was more of a subtle. Fun doesn't stop here. If we come up here to the right side and click over here, we can change the way it does the flow state, direction lock, which I had covered in a different video. I'll show those examples right here. You can also change how the stitching occurs between the 2 lenses. Sometimes there will be like a little line in the stitch between the 2 lenses, and you can change how that actually functions, or all the way down here to where the chromatic calibration, so that way it makes sure the color on one lens matches the color on the other lens. If we come down one more, we can change either the color or the clarity. You can't do both for some reason, but it's cool. The color change, let's go to a spot here, turn it off, turn it on, makes everything brighter, a little more crisp, and you can change how strong it is, going back to the original and the altered. Or we can go to clarity if we feel like, instead of it being brighter or more colorful, I feel like it needs a little more clarity. And we can change that back to the beginning, or back to the original, and more clear. So do we feel like it needs more clarity, or do we feel like it needs more color? I liked the clarity better. It had more of a contrast, where we've got these elements that are dark and these elements that are light. I like that better. Turn it off and turn it on. Yeah, I feel like that's way more dynamic with these bright spots in the dark, as opposed to the whole thing being brighter. I feel like this is more dramatic. Okay. Moving on, you can add a logo if you'd like, it's project manager, and the information about this very specific clip. And that's all of these guys here. You can also change the perspectives. You can go 1:1, which is a perfect square. 9:16, which is portrait mode for posting to social media. 16:9, which is a normal TV size or shape. 4:3, which is the old TVs from back in the day. Most of you probably have never even seen a 4:3 movie or a 4:3 show. Oh, you probably have on Netflix. You know when you're watching a show and they got those big black borders on the sides and like the show's old? That's what TVs actually were sized like back in the day, 4:3. And this is wide, super wide, or panoramic. But we're going to go back to 16:9 and render our piece again. Clarity. And it should start exporting any moment now. There it goes. So like I said before, you can either post these clips directly to social media or incorporate them into a larger project like this. This editor is very easy to use once you learn how to use it. All in all, I think that Insta360 X3 is going to be a major player in collecting footage to make these videos and to do a lot of other things. I hope you know I want you to get out there in the world and do more. Give it a shot. A squid shot.